thank you for joining us at the ever-improving No Soundbites Allowed podcast. My name is Michael Vasquez. We thank you for joining us in this adventure of describing the politics that go on in our nation on a personal and local level as often as possible, giving you, the audience, more than just 30 seconds to understand what's going on in our nation. We look forward to joining you as we go. Just sit back, enjoy the ride. Please remember, if you like the episodes, like it, share it, let other people know, and if you can, please donate, even if it's $2, even if it's $5, because it all makes a difference. We thank you, and here we go.
Hello, everybody. Hello. And it's good to be back with you all. That's right. This is Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier. You're with us at No Soundbites Allowed, and we have a very special episode. You may have heard about it in a little bit of in the background there is we have a guest today, and I'm knocking things over as I go. On this episode, we're going to be speaking with a very good friend of mine and a gentleman who I have many conversations with, and this should be very special for everybody because I have with me our guest, Dan Pokorak. And some of those in Binghamton and Broome County may be aware of him. And I think we're going to have a little fun with this. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Dan.
Oh, hi, I'm Dan Pokorak. I was looking at the news and it was crazy. That's all.
All right. May want to have the mic a little bit closer.
There we go. Is that better for you?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Perfect. So, yes, everybody, we are here. We're going to have a fun time. This is the second episode for the new year of 2018, and I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to have some fun with the show. So, just to give people a little bit of a background, Dan, tell them who you are, what you do.
I'm Dan Pokorak, like I said. I play music around the area. That's, what else do I do? That's a bit.
Well, you play with...
I play with Adam Ate the Apple. Yeah, that's my band. We play locally, regionally. Okay. All original music. It's fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good band. And people, I know that you play on Thursday nights at the Belmar.
Yep.
Every week. So people can always come by and check that out as well. It's a good show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Now, something that a lot of people don't know is... very often, you and I, we have conversations about every issue that's out there.
Yeah. It's fun.
Not always on the same side.
No. Not always.
No.
Try to find some sort of middle ground.
We do.
Yeah.
But I think it's always very interesting. And one of the great things about being on the show today is we're going to be talking about the different views. And I think it's great because you're basically like everybody in general, everyday man.
Yeah, sure.
As opposed to,
I don't have a super political bend.
Exactly. But you know what's going on, and we have great conversations about it. So let's start off with something that's, one thing that I caught the other day, and I think we were talking a little bit about it, but let me just start with this, and we'll just flow from there.
Sure.
Oprah
as the president.
That's right. Oprah as president. What do you think?
I say, why not, right?
Really? Well, yes, she can be.
She's probably talked to more people, more real people than Trump has probably ever talked to on a real level.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I could see that.
If that's like what we're basing why she's qualified.
Well, I give her the qualification that she's, obviously
she's self-made.
Given.
Right.
She's self-made. She has that executive experience,
yeah,
which is the same as Trump.
Yeah.
So fair there, fair.
On that.
It's not great executive experience for politics, but it's fair.
Owning a big
not the same as politics,
right.
But it is executive experience. So I give her that absolutely.
Sure.
But what else? What are her other things? She's black, which is not a factor.
No.
She's a woman. That's not a factor.
Those are all factors.
Not really.
But, meaning they're not what qualifies or disqualifies.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't consider those factors, although if you're listening to a lot of people talk about it.
If you're a pundit, you're totally digging in on those things.
Which to me are useless.
And on some sides, I agree. I think she's intelligent. She's very personable. She can, she can get people.
Absolutely.
So that's cool. She's not a politician, so those people that are like anti-government kind of may enjoy that fact that she's not a career politician.
Well, yeah.
But then what we're talking about is the fact that she's a celebrity, and that's what people fucking get down. Ooh, excuse me. I don't know if I swear, but that's what people are.
Not too much.
Yeah. That's what people get down on, though. That's what they're crapping on her about. That, and she's a woman and she's black. They're crapping on that as well.
I don't think that there's no.
I don't believe that should matter.
No,
that's what they're doing.
And the celebrity thing, we've had celebrities. I mean, Ronald Reagan, celebrity, right there.
True.
So I mean, it's not like it's a first.
Reagan.
And I like him. Given there's
all praise the Ronald.
Well, we don't go crazy.
I would say let's all praise Ronald's wife because I believe she was running that presidency after a point.
After a point, she may well have, and you know what?
Yeah,
she did a good job.
Yeah,
Nancy did.
I don't know. All right.
Who
else did that? Wasn't Eleanor? Wasn't there?
Eleanor was very strong in her presidency.
The first woman president. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's not new precedences on any of this.
Correct.
But
a woman president would be a new precedent.
But I see that's not the reason why we should elect someone.
No, I don't think that should be.
But I think a lot of people do. Yeah. I think there's a lot of, especially younger.
We like to break the glass ceiling. We like to be that country that is forward. We're surely not forward under that aspect. And we're not the first country definitely to have a female president.
But it doesn't matter. It's not.
But we want that as a country.
See, but that's the problem. People are going after it because, we should do that. Sure. Rather than they're qualified, they're the best choice. Like Obama, for me.
Sure.
Of course, I love the idea of a black president. Fantastic.
I thought he was completely qualified, though. He was a politician. He knew how to play the game, and I thought he played it well. And he did what he thought was best for the country. Now you're
conflicted on that.
But see, you might not like what he did, which I get.
Yeah.
But I believe he did it for the best interest of the country.
I'm not sure that he did it for the best interest of the country. No. I think
he did.
I think he did it for what he thinks the country should be.
Well,
that transformation that he was talking about, which is not to a more democratic and capitalist country, but a more socialist country. He was trying to pull us more towards, ultimately, a more communist state.
Oh, communism bullshit. I believe that social medicine is not communist. I believe that taking care of the lowest denominator is not a socialist thing. That's a very capitalist thing.
It's not capitalist.
Surely.
It's socialist, but it's not capitalist.
It feeds the capitalist machine in a good way. If you take care of the least, they're more able to work. They're more able to do those low jobs, quote unquote, that people don't do. And if they're taken care of, they're more willing to do that work that we, as in whatever, not the other people, not the lowest of the classes, are unwilling to do. And that feeds that capitalist machine. And no one wants to say that because it does sound like socialism. But I guess my problem is that we have a stigma on that word, and that it's a silly stigma. It's just a soundbite.
Well, we try and stay away from those.
Yeah.
But I have serious concerns about socialism.
Sure.
And where it ultimately goes. And it doesn't stop at just this one thing. It always rolls and goes into other things, and it becomes more and more. And we see it in every nation that we've seen that's been socialist is downgraded.
Great Britain is socialist.
And they're falling apart. And they've been falling apart over the decades. They're no longer the Great Britain.
Well, they fell apart over the decades because because they fell apart because they couldn't hold on to the power, quote unquote.
That's partially it. All empires end. I give you that.
Because empires have to run on very strict codes. And
yes.
They're not very moral.
no country is moral.
Right. But but as you get more moral, you allow yourself to let your citizenry have more freedoms. And by having those more freedoms, it's hard to have an iron fist over when you're an island and you're taking over India. You can't hold that same power if you don't do it with a gun.
Well, there are
That's
parts of that
yes.
I agree with, parts of that I don't. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but and I see parts of it and I say yes, and parts of it I say
right. Well,
no.
I'm just saying that the collapse of Great Britain had nothing to necessarily do with the fact that it went socialist, other than the fact that, well, they didn't need exploiting people is tough to do.
Well, yeah, but I think I think the socialists
say that you're a champion of people, and then
I see the socialist aspect as a contributing factor.
Okay.
Like just here in our own nation, the more socialist we've been becoming, the more we're becoming less nationalist, less nationally concerned. We have a greater divide in our nation.
Well, it's because we like to use talking points, meaning not us particularly,
right,
but the country itself. Like all of our news is fear-based.
More so now than ever before.
Yeah, ever.
And it's more opinionated. It's less fact-based, more opinion-based.
All of our news, well, not all. News that what is it? Reuters or however you say that.
Yeah, Reuters.
They're pretty clean.
Yeah.
And they're not
British.
politically yeah, of course. They're not so politically bad.
No.
And their stories aren't contrived to sway you one way or the other. They're more they're facts. They're say this happened.
They're recognized as being more neutral based, as opposed to the Wall Street Times, New York Times, the Journal, LA Times.
Well, it's just crazy for me. Like people like say that they're the liberal media, but growing up, they definitely were not. Like my
20, 30 years ago
were Republican, and they read the Republican papers, and some of those were like the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, well,
they were considered conservative.
Yeah, the Journal still is.
But even in like Trump's mind, that's liberal media, which is crazy.
Weird, which is crazy
to me.
No, they're still
we've
conservative.
We don't like talking about. We like talking Republicans and Democrats. That's all happy to us because we can see the clean divide, but we can't talk about like conservative Democrats because they're more aligned with conservative Republicans because of what that conservative thing is a big. Big part of
more
their
fiscal
ideology.
conservatives or social conservatives. The Blue Dogs, Blue Dog Democrats would be fiscally conservative.
They'd be Republicans.
They don't really.
Like back in the day, that's
exactly. And now they'd
be social Republicans, as in they agree with some of the social aspects of uplifting people, but they also want to keep
the money,
the budget balanced, and make sure that shit's cool.
Yeah, and that doesn't exist anymore.
No sides even that. It's a play. That's the problem.
But it's to the extremes. I mean, look at the progressives, and I hate Citizen Action because of who they are and what they do.
I do not hate them.
I know.
As in, I appreciate any side that's willing to go for and fight for what they believe in. Whether I believe in it or not, we need that discourse.
We do need the discourse, and I do appreciate and respect the fact that they can speak out.
Right.
There are what they're speaking about and the way that they choose to speak out are different.
And I would say for me, so the Tea Party, which they don't even talk about anymore because they just morphed into the Republican Party.
For the most part.
Insane.
Progressives did the same thing to Democrats.
Yes, but we still go, they're progressives.
Well, they're still out of their mind. That's why.
But the Tea Party is, you guys.
Well, I know. Everyone tells me the Tea
Republican Party.
Yes.
Hugged them to get the votes, and I think that messed with the party pretty bad.
It definitely pushed it. It pushed it to the right. Absolutely.
Like super though. Like in my meeting, what you hear people talking about is more of the Tea Party agenda.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they're such a small part of what makes the Republican Party.
In terms of the percentage of the party, absolutely.
Right.
In terms of what the core beliefs of the Tea Party were about taxation, about spending and budgets,
which I'm down with,
and the Constitution.
But that's not what they talk about. You got the fringes on the news. But there's
the key word: the news.
Yeah, but
the crazies are out there. There are crazies.
Yeah, but the Republican Republican-driven news still talks with them like they're important.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're. No, I am saying they're less important to listen to because they're batshit crazy. But we don't need the loudest voice to be the craziest voice, and we need. I would say that temper that.
I would definitely say that for the left as well. But I've also spoken. Now, mind you, I do know some people in the Tea Party because I've been at their events. I've spoken to them. I do know some who are definitely under batshit crazy.
I'm not saying all of them are either. I'm just saying we let the fringe voices as of recent be the loudest voices.
Yeah, and that's a problem for all parties.
For all people.
Yeah, and to bring it back to but to bring it back for this subject we were talking about, Oprah. That's the thing, and I just want to wrap that, and we're going to take a break in a minute. But that's the thing I'm seeing with Oprah. It's the fringe that is pushing this.
The Oprah thing?
Yeah. Media. This is all a media Hollywood thing.
Well, yeah, I will say that the media, they enjoy their own. That's why they love Trump.
But what I'd love to hear?
You get a soundbite, you get crazy, you get people riled up, and then people watch your TV show.
But which is horrible that's the reason, because if she really wants to do this.
That's horrible, Mike. That's capitalism right there.
No.
Pure and simple.
It is an aspect of it. That's an aspect of it. But the media is supposed to be the fourth
but it's
wall
not.
for the public. They're there to be the watchdog. Not
24-hour cable news killed the watchdog because they were looking for ratings and money.
Because they really shouldn't. It's not about it.
I agree.
News is not supposed to be about money.
We should all have PBS all over the place.
Maybe a little bit better than PBS. I think we can go a lot higher.
I know what I was saying.
But yeah, and that's something that I agree with you on, that when they started going into a very strong monetization of the news, we started losing that independence of
they
the
lost
news.
some of their credibility because they're looking for money for words.
Right. And
anyone's willing to pay you to say something, someone's going to say yes.
Right. And that's the problem. Not that they shouldn't get paid. Hello. No. We all should.
Right.
I understand that. I'm not saying they shouldn't make money well. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah.
It's just when the number one thing is profit and news second or third.
Right.
That's where the problem is.
Well, that's all of the news organizations anywhere.
MSNBC.
Even Alex Jones is fueled by money.
Yeah.
The more people click on his craziness, the more money he makes.
Yeah. And that's the problem we've gotten into. And I think that's a problem for the entire nation. And I think
it's a problem for the entire world.
Well, yeah.
Because
by extension.
Everything becomes pay to play.
To some extent.
And then the beautiful thing, in fact, what this is right here, like a podcast, the beauty and the shame now of this whole, the internet not being as free as it was, but the beauty of its freedom is that the freedom of speech cannot be controlled by a few. Because if you like something now, you click like, and it becomes part of what you are paying attention to.
Right.
So there's that freedom.
It's in your zone of,
which is also the weird thing, which is the whole everyone on the fringes. So,
well, I kind of get that.
That's the catch-22.
But I'd rather have the catch-22 of First Amendment freedom. Everyone speaks, and your audience, if they like it, they come to you. If they don't like it, they don't. I like that more than. But
that may also be how Trump got elected on two different sides of that die. As in, everyone who liked Trump listened to Trump. Everyone who didn't like Trump didn't listen to what was going on, and everyone fed their own likes.
It's a double-edged sword.
And it sucks because sometimes you hear shit that you don't like.
Yeah.
And it needs to keep you informed on that. And we're very me. We always have. That's the nature of humanity, is that you're a self thing and you're going to serve yourself.
Well, everyone's selfish first.
And that sucks.
Everyone's selfish first, always.
And it doesn't need to be that way, but
it's human nature.
We don't teach people not to do that anymore.
Well, it's human nature.
We let it go a little. Someone just said no. And we didn't let that happen because we're worried about getting sued.
Yes.
And that's crap.
That comes up sometimes. All right. We're actually over on time a little bit, but that's okay. I don't care. That's why I have a podcast, because I can do that. But we're going to take a quick little commercial break here, and then we're going to come back It's actually a music interlude. Hello, people. You're going to love that. And, or you're familiar with it if you've been to the show before. I'm just trying to figure out which one I'm going to put on here. And we'll go with, and we'll be back in just a moment with more No Soundbites Allowed with Michael Voss and my special guest, Dan Pokorak. All right, everybody. I'm glad that you're back. It's No Sound Bites Allowed with your host, the Dragon of the Southern Tier, Michael Voss. And my special guest in studio today is Dan Pokorak, the musician and a good friend. And I want to pick up where we left off. Now, we were talking in the first segment. We kind of went a little bit everywhere, which is great. Talking about Donald Trump, talking about Oprah Winfrey, talking about the presidency and news and where it's gone, and how they all interrelate. But since we're talking about Donald Trump, President Trump, I want to pick up with something that's in the news. And I think everybody's heard about it and probably are talking about it to some extent. President Trump is alleged to have said, according to the Washington Post, that he said he was speaking about Haiti and immigration, and he called Haiti and El Salvador holes.
They call them shitholes.
Yes. Language.
That's the president. If the
Well,
president
that
can
is
say
what the
it,
president, that's what
right.
that's what's reported is what
That
he said.
was cracking me up. They're all like bleeping themselves, which is fine, and I get that.
Yeah. It's not that big a
But,
deal,
but if your president's not censoring yourself,
yeah.
then the news reporting it. Although, did you see the meme about Trump and Putin sitting there?
No.
And he was like, I bet you I can get CNN to say shithole like 55 times in an hour or something like that.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. That's the way to get it. I didn't see that meme. I like it. I want to put that on my Facebook. But speaking of this, now I was talking to another friend we both know, a gentleman yesterday, and he was mentioning, he asked me about it. Sure. As you know, some people who know that I do this, they occasionally ask, what do I think about various issues? And he was very upset. He was very upset that it was said by the president. Well,
and that's fair to be upset.
But I'm not.
Fine. We need to hold, and it's okay to hold people to their office.
Yes.
And that's upsetting.
It wasn't presidential. I'll give you that. It was not presidential, although it was a private meeting, which means it was leaked.
With public politicians. Figures. So
but politicians.
There's no privacy in politics.
Yeah, one of them leaked it. And gee, who do we think it was? Probably Durbin. But, okay, they leaked what was said there because it always comes out. Was it the most presidential thing to say?
No.
No. Was he wrong? No.
See, I believe he was wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, Haiti is not the garden spot of the world. Neither is El Salvador.
Nor is North Dakota. Nor is
A lot more.
South Central. Nor is
a lot more than Haiti or El Salvador.
Now, there are parts in America that could be equitably described as that.
Not compared to Haiti or El Salvador. El Salvador, the murder capital of the world. You know, though Chicago, I'll give them, they've got a good running for it. If Chicago's looking for murder spot of the world,
which none of us are.
They're fighting.
Neither is El Salvador for that matter.
But you know what?
And he's talking about bringing people in and not wanting the people coming from those countries.
But that's normal. That's normal for our nation. We have no obligation to say we're going to take everyone because there's always a problem.
That might be privately normal, but publicly, as America, we take your weak. We take
that's not even true because we've in the past we have denied countries. The ideal is
that's the American ideal.
Yeah, and we do.
We don't always live up to our ideals, and that's fine.
Yeah, but there's a limit.
But to say it out loud, to say it in such a public forum like that was a disgrace for a person. Even if it's not a president. If one of my friends said that to me, I'd be like, dude, that's shitty. And it is. It's just a bad thing to say. Then you're thinking ill will of people beneath you or even in your own opinion.
Not the people. Well, the countries. Yeah. They have no infrastructure. They're falling apart.
He was talking about the people.
I don't know that he was
a people issue.
It's
why
not.
do we want the people from a crap country?
Well, honestly, we don't.
But we do.
But we don't.
That's the American dream. Rags to riches.
No, that's not.
Families coming in.
That's not exactly the American dream.
Well, that's part of the American dream.
The American dream is that you can come here.
You work.
Some people can come here that they can work hard, build themselves up, and have a better life than where they were.
Correct.
And 1 million people a year do exactly that.
And that's awesome. And
so we're doing it.
Yeah, but we don't.
But we don't have to take in 2 million.
No, we don't have to do any of that. That's not what the discussion. Well, it is discussion that we don't have to, which is fine, but putting a limit based on those credentials.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you. Do you think it's better for us as a nation? Because at the end of the day, it's about our welfare as a nation. So do you think it's better that we could take a doctor from anywhere in the world?
Right.
Or we can take a migrant farmer from El Salvador. Which one's going to help us more?
Do you really want the answer to this? Because I know the answer to this.
Yeah, I really want the answer.
Migrant farmer is going to help us more. We had fields rot after we stopped some of that immigration stuff. Because you want to know what? The average, quote unquote, American citizen is not going to go and pick fruit and vegetables, man. If you want to know,
that's not entirely wrong.
It's not wrong.
Yeah,
we didn't. We tried. We stopped those visas, and our fields went fallow.
There was a slight drop off, not enormous.
Enough to talk about.
Anything's in this climate. Everything's.
Sure. But it was enough that someone made a notice of, look what happened when we stopped that.
Yes, and there is always going to be some of that, which is fine.
That's my craziness when people start screaming about like, oh, we don't have jobs. Oh, we have jobs.
We have some jobs.
We just don't have the jobs you want to do that you think you're entitled to.
The entitled jobs, yes, and that's a whole other subject about entitlement.
But that's every American citizen feels they're entitled. I don't care race, creed, whatever, religion. They don't care. They're entitled to better than picking fruit in a field.
Well, yes.
In their heads.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. Yeah, everybody.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying the American farmer or anything like that. Like I believe that's a profession. I can't do it.
No.
But I believe it's a valid profession that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you don't, none of us are eating.
Yeah, like. They do amazing, that's an amazing job. It's just not a job I can actually do. So I give them props. But I also say that that's who we need to bring into our country. And I'm cool with that. And if that's their calling and that's what they want to do, then, or if that's what they're willing to do, that's more of the case.
Well, that's also a factor in it is like, what do we do with some of these people? Because there are large numbers, depending on each country is different. Each group of people are different. But sometimes they come into the country and we have nothing but people on the government dole. And then we have those who go out and actually work.
See, I always want to look that. I haven't looked that statistic up, but I believe it's really hard to get on the government dole if you are not a citizen.
No, it is not. Nope. They make it very easy. Well, I'm not saying I won't say it's easy, but it is something that is definitely given by the government, depending on how you come in. If you're a refugee versus an illegal alien,
that's a whole different story. We should give refugees whatever they need.
Well, these are
not like, you know what I mean, to a point, as in, can we help them get on their feet? Yes. Should we help them get on their feet?
Well, see,
yes.
here's the thing, and see, this is part of the disconnect I think the general public may have. When we're talking about El Salvador and Haiti, specifically those two, the reason why he's saying part of what the discussion is about in this immigration thing is that we let them in expedited because of a crisis in their nations. Mm-hmm. Well, the Haiti hurricane, was in 2010. That's 8 years ago.
Correct.
And they're still coming. When is it stop being a crisis and just it's a problem of their country and a problem of their infrastructure that they need to solve? We can't, we're going to just take Haiti for the next 100 years under the fact that they once had a hurricane? You know?
I can see that there should be.
When do you stop?
Yeah.
There's never going to be the day that, now they're perfectly fine. No, it's always going to be there. And that's part of the argument. The other part of the argument is in El Salvador. We started taking them in 20 years ago because their country was under a civil war. Right. And you got the gangs fighting the government and people dying all over the place. That's why they're the murder capital of the world.
See, I believe that you believe that these are reasons why we shouldn't do this, which is fine. I believe that the president has fucking clue. Oop, bleep the wrong word there. No clue, except for the crap. And he thinks they're crap. I believe that you have valid points of this, but I don't believe he thought of any of these valid points at all, sadly.
And that's a good argument. I can't say that that's wrong or right. I
just think he's a horrible person.
I don't know
he's
that
not very compassionate outside of his own circle, and even in his own circle, I don't believe he's compassionate at all. He's a tyrant.
We've seen over decades. I mean, I understand since he became president, everyone forgot about his history, but for decades he was known as a very reasonably compassionate CEO, a good CEO, someone who was very helpful to poor people and downtrodden for decades.
In his circle.
No. I mean, regular construction workers. There were stories all over in New York City and the New York Post, Daily News.
I my anti-compassionate thing, but I do believe that he had no clue what you were talking about. By the
way, that I can't dispute. I'm not sure that he did or didn't. And again, and you know this, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm not a great fan of Donald Trump.
No.
I have issues with.
I don't think he's a Republican, for one. For two, I don't think he's a party anything. He just uses what works best for him to get what he thinks, quote unquote, is the best for. And I would love to think that he thinks for the best of the country, but he does not. If you watch his behavior, he acts out for the best interest of him and his.
I'm conflicted.
In what I see him do.
I can see some of the things that he's doing that benefit in the long run the nation. And at the same time, I see things that he does that make me go, well, that's not presidential, and I don't see a benefit.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm willing to give up, you're not very presidential looking, which is not the first president to do that.
Yeah.
But there's a gain. You're getting the job done, which is fantastic. And I'm willing to see that trade-off.
See, I think
sometimes I don't see that.
I think the trade-off is insane. Like, I think it's like a bet with the devil, and you hope that you can play the fiddle a little better than he can. Maybe.
I'd have said that more about Obama.
Oh, see, yeah.
But we've had that.
I would say that about politicians in general.
Politicians in general, I agree. I know way too many of them to not say that. But we've actually gone over. Well, I love it, which is good because we're having good conversations. But we're going to take a quick break for another commercial break and have a little bit of food. So bear with us, folks, as I try and figure out which song I'm going to play here.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. That's right. It is No Soundbites Allowed with your host, the Dragon of the Southern Tier, Michael Voss. And I am in the studio with my special guest, Dan Pokorak, and we're having some fun here today. I hope everybody else is having fun along with us as we're going through the show. And one of the things that we've been talking about a lot of things. We've talked about Oprah. We've talked about Donald Trump. We've talked about presidency and also going into Haiti, El Salvador, immigration, and that impact on the nation and just how we view it and how it looks to everybody. And so those are some big subjects there. And following that theme, we figured we'd talk about Hawaii just a little bit because, well, as we know, that's just a huge subject right now because they kind of screwed up there in a big way. And what they did is, as I understand, suddenly there was an alarm in Hawaii. The ballistic missile threat warning came out, and it basically said, ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. That was the message that was sent out as being reported by CNN. And I have to tell you, if I heard that, I'd freak out. Now, by the way, just so people know, the message did go out, but there was human error involved, and it was not supposed to go out, as being reported by CNN. So there was no missile. But I tell you what, if I heard that come across, I can't imagine the kind of mayhem that would have happened if people thought a nuke was coming straight in right now.
Yeah, that's insane. Or there was a nuke and it fell into the ocean just to fuel the conspiracy theories.
And there's going to be someone who said,
there is. I know there is. There has to be.
There's going to be a picture someone's going to have of, this cloud was not a cloud. It's actually a missile coming down and blowing up or something. They're going to, that image is coming. There's a meme about to hit Facebook on that.
Definitely is.
But I can't imagine who screwed that up. And we were talking in between on the break, and you mentioned something interesting. Could someone have done that on purpose?
Oh, well. Of course they could have done it on purpose.
Why do you think they might have?
Because that pushes everybody to talk about it, meaning we're talking about it, but that made it very real to our country. That was, if that actually, and if they have the ability, which they say they may have the ability to reach our continent with a missile.
North Korea.
Yeah, mm-hmm. North Korea with a nuclear device on it. That's scary as hell.
Well, I'm absolutely terrified by two countries, North Korea and Iran, because both of them are working on ballistic missiles.
Yep.
They both have nukes, and they're both working on getting those nukes to reach us.
Right. The
day that they can reach us, there's a problem. Big time.
Yeah. I believe that's a big problem. I was thinking that they wouldn't, because that's not what they're using that's not what you're using the threat for. They're using the threat for to have us lessen our economic impact on them. If you're a nuclear power, it's hard for us to tell you no.
True.
And that's just
there is
when you're not our ally and you have a nuclear missile that can hit our country. When you're like, hey, we really need this help, we have to kind of at least
consider.
Yeah, consider it. Think about it. One of those things.
Yeah.
It's not just a deadpan no.
Yeah, but unlike China, Russia,
sure,
Pakistan, depending on who's there on any given day, they're relatively more stable.
Yeah. Oh, super more stable. Iran's kind of stable though, crazily.
Well, yeah, they're stable in the thought that they want to see us all dead. They've made that very clear consistently. They want us dead. Yeah, those guys get a nuke. I have no doubt that they would use it because they don't care. They just want us dead.
Maybe.
I take them at their word. They've only been saying it for 3 decades.
And they haven't done it yet.
Because they don't have
invaded America.
They just got nukes and they're just figuring out how, and they have, thank you, President Obama, they have a wonderful deal that says that they can test missiles for the next decade as long as they don't finish building their nuke.
Yeah.
You know, I have a problem with that.
Kind of. Like, I have a problem with that, but I don't think that's the big picture of it and the geopolitics of it all.
North Korea.
They want to, well, Iran, if we want, they want to be able to say they have it, but they're becoming even a little more, their people are being a little revolty against their government because, since 1980, they've had the Ayatollah?
Yeah.
Wasn't that 79, 78, something
It was
like that?
79, 80.
Yeah. And they're getting tired of that because it's not working for them.
No,
it's
doesn't.
not working for them socially. It's not working for them
economically
at all. And it's not even our sanctions that, like, we like to believe that we're like this big, when we are, we're the big bad wolf in the, and that's fine.
We're the king of the hill. But
the thing is that even if we're not spending money there, that's okay. Because they're not like a small country. They have things that they can sell and use to other people that don't trade with us.
Oil and goods,
yeah. But that's still not working for their people. And I think like all of those what was it, the spring revolutions going on through the Middle East.
They had one too.
Yep. And I think it just opened everyone's eyes that the more freedom you have to your people, or the people feel, the more freedom they have, the better off they are. And that's not just like a selfish view of that. It's just a economic truth. If economics is your game and your high point, then the more freedoms you have, the more economic power you have, and the higher quality of life you have.
That's a big thing, the quality of life.
And I think that just went downhill there since then.
Yeah.
There's in the 60s and 70s, they were doing okay. They were
reasonably well off, a second-class world nation.
Yep. Getting to the first class.
Yeah, pretty close.
Religion. That's all I have to say. Everywhere religion. But,
fanatical religion.
But the nuclear missile thing is crazy. The one good thing out of it is that it did push talks about things. So maybe if someone did it on purpose, that was why. Or they just hit a damn button in an office that they didn't even know what the hell it was. Since these were built well before. Right.
Yeah.
There's not modern technology in those offices.
No, and that's kind of scary because...
Yeah, that's...
And even if they... Here's the other scary thought that a lot of people don't think about. All of the ballistic missile alarms we have and everything, they're only built to tell you roughly about 5 minutes before it hits. Right. So as soon as you were to get a message, if you were to get a message, you've got 5 minutes. Right.
Well, they were all built in like 55 or something.
Well, the way the technology is built, they can't see the missile take off. They only see it when it's coming back into the atmosphere.
Gotcha.
Which is roughly 5 minutes before it hits you. Right. And so, you got barely enough time to...
We say that, but I'm pretty damn sure we have several satellites floating over North Korea right now.
Well, what NORAD
watching
may know.
them. Yeah, exactly.
What NORAD knows and what you and I know, two different things. They're going to give us 5 minutes warning. They'll have 23. Although I don't know that, giving me the extra, 17 minutes or something like that. Yeah. I don't know that would help at all.
Probably not.
Because I don't know. I mean, what would you do in the last 5 minutes?
Hide under a desk. Isn't that what they taught us?
In the 50s?
So when they could come through, they just knew who you were. It had nothing to do with saving your life. It just collecting bodies was easy.
It was just something to give people to do.
Yeah, it gave your mind something.
Yeah, it was absolutely
Sally
useless.
Sat here.
Yeah.
This must be...
yeah. Well, it gives you around in the last 5 minutes. It gives you something to. I'm protecting myself. I could possibly, you get that hope of I could survive.
I guess.
And it's a wood desk. Yeah. No, you're not.
I think the hope is they will be able to identify me once this is all over and done.
Yeah, there ain't going to be much left if a nuke comes down, and whether you got 23 minutes or 5 minutes.
That's the other thing that I know we all freak about the nuclear thing. But they're not what we have. They're not the bombs that we blew up
Hiroshima,
Japan with. Yeah. They're not, or tested even.
No, they're pretty low. They're low yield. They're like 5 miles instead of what we have is like 50 miles.
And hundreds of thousands of people, which is horrifying.
Yeah.
But
I mean, relatively, we're talking, it's nuclear weapons. You're talking, it's relative. So 5 million versus 50 million.
And it's
makes a big
that's
difference.
all crazy. But,
Yeah. It's insane deaths. We know that, but relatively speaking, they're pretty low yield.
I don't think so. My opinion is that Iran and North Korea, they're not using them as they're using them as bargaining chips on a table. And they're,
see, I just don't see that.
You think it's the other...
I see...
I think the religious fanatics are like, let's go bomb them, but...
Yeah, that is Iran.
But they're not. That's the problem. They could be sending missiles and blowing up our boats and doing all this crap to incite us, and they don't.
Well...
Because it's not in their best interest.
You know what? I think
that's
where I see the
not in
difference.
their best interest.
I think the average person in Iran, the average person in North Korea,
Sure.
I don't think they want to do that. I think that they're good people and that they want to live good lives for them and their kids, and probably want to be more like us than anything else.
They want the freedoms.
But their leadership,
and
those are the guys who got the hands on the button.
Yeah.
I think Kim Jong-un is just unstable in a way that is the only thing more terrifying than Kim Jong-un having not only just a bomb, which he has, but having a ballistic missile that could reach the U.S. The only thing more scary than that is Iran having the ballistic missile.
See,
because they have promised for 30 years, and we were talking about this, 30 years they have told us at every opportunity they're going to wipe us out. I have no doubt that if they get a shot at it, they're going to do it.
See, I think the scary part is if Kim Jong-un wasn't the head of his state and the Ayatollah, I don't know who his name is right now.
I think it's another Khomeini.
Is it a Khomeini? I worry if they were not in power and they let the crazies that they have to appease be in power, then we'd have that issue.
That's a good question.
I believe that their game is a big game of appeasement within their own power structures. And they have to, because otherwise they don't get the same power.
So you think there's bigger crazies behind them?
Oh, hell yeah. And they're the least of the biggest crazies there at that time.
No. I tend to think... I tend to think that... Well, Iran, probably. I can see that in Iran. In North Korea, no, I think Kim Jong-un he's pretty out there.
He was educated in the West, though.
He was educated in the West, loves his scotch.
And he knows how to keep him and his family in power.
Yes,
and
that he
to
does.
do that, he has to appease the other power players there. He has to appease the crazy military leaders just as much as he has to appease the moderate. And as in everything, there's moderates.
True. They're on all of them. Yep. They all have moderates.
And then their people they have to control as well. So, and they're having a hard time doing that in Iran, like I was saying.
Yeah.
They
had their spring and...
Yep, and they're just tired, and wasn't there recently just
another one, another revolt.
Uprising, and then they shot them and did all that crazy...
Yeah.
Kent State shit.
Exactly. They took them out quick and hard, which put everyone else back in line. And
yep.
And Obama had a similar thing with it was called the Green Spring. In Iran.
Where was that? In Iran?
Yeah, it was in Iran. And it was the same time that we had the Arab Spring. They called it the Green Spring.
We've been secretly working with them to get rid of ISIS, though?
No.
Iran's been fighting ISIS. Kind of. They've been fighting. Well, that's a total.
That's religious.
Well, meaning, but that's a total fight to their power. So they had.
Yeah, they were
it was in their interest to get rid of ISIS.
Yeah, so they were they basically were throwing us a bone, so to speak.
Yeah, it's because
it works out for them too.
And hence why I'm like, when they have
the enemy of my enemy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I don't know if you know this. The guy who it was an Arab back in way back. There was an Arab prince who actually coined that phrase. He got killed.
Oh, sure.
By his enemy. They came and they killed him for it.
That makes
kind of funny.
Sense.
It was one of his enemies that killed him too. So it's weird.
That whole part of the world is all strange, like geopolitically right now.
Well, it always has been. I mean, they fight against themselves as much as everyone else.
Well,
historically.
We historically fed into whatever side works better for us to keep that going.
Well, before we even existed, they were fighting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we took advantage of it too. And so is China and everyone else. But everyone takes advantage of the fact that they've been fighting against each other since basically we started writing
world
history.
Peace works for no one.
Honestly, it doesn't. It doesn't really. There's always been, there was 1 year in my lifetime. There was 1 year, I think it was 85, where there was no active wars going on anywhere in the world.
Nice.
1 year.
Yeah, we need more of those years.
Yeah, 40, 50
just
years.
because I don't mind, like, I get it, war is profitable and blah, but it's just silly. We should have more Olympic Games if we need to show off whose dick's bigger. Like, if that's part of that ego drive that...
Well, it is.
Yeah,
I mean, every nation has that.
Well, that's the war drive, too, is that same...
Yeah. There is that they kind of...
We just need aliens to come down and attack us so we can, like, all become one people and have something to fight together.
That's the message of Watchmen, the comic book and the movie.
There you go.
Well, no, in the comic book, I don't know if you ever saw the graphic novel. The graphic novel, yeah, I'm a nerd. The graphic novel, which I saw, it was beautiful. It was about the guy Ozymandias. In the movie, he makes it about Dr. Manhattan.
Okay.
But in the original graphic novel, it's actually, he creates his own, he uses all the scientists in the world, the brilliant people, to make this creature that would look like it's not from Earth. And he uses that and he drops it in New York, just in New York alone. Sure. And it, basically the day it's born is the day it dies. And he uses that as, aliens are attacking. This was the first wave. And everybody in the world unites against this foreign alien thing.
Yeah.
And essentially it plays out exactly the same. But that's the one big difference. So it's kind of interesting.
There's been some weird alien stuff going on, if I remember correctly. Like the shit they're finding out in space they're freaking out about.
Well,
or some like device that they think is a not natural device surrounding like a sun, like a Dyson sphere.
I heard about that, a Dyson sphere.
Yep. So that's cool.
I have to believe it. Well, there's two ways to look at it. And what's his name? In the wheelchair.
Stephen Hawking.
Hawkins, yeah. He had two ways of looking at it. And I think, there's three ways to look at it. One, the universe is so big that it's absolute arrogance to assume we're the only ones in there. Mathematically, there has to be other life. And probably a lot of it, we just may not recognize it.
Right.
So, but also because the universe is so bloody big, if you're taking anything by infinity, you get infinity. So it's an infinitesimal number could be billions of life forms out there, but compared to the size of the universe, it's the same thing as zero.
Right.
So call it zero.
Everyone all thinks they're isolated. Well, they probably are isolated.
Yeah, everyone's so far away from everyone else that even if you're just generally probably all too far away to even matter.
I like all that stuff.
But my scary thought about that, and I know there's a whole other thought, but I'm going into it.
We went into aliens.
Yeah.
All right.
Comic books, aliens, yeah. But the
Thanks,
one
North
thing,
Korea.
yeah, right. But the thing I always fear is if aliens actually, I think it was also Hawkins who thought this up. If aliens actually do exist, and if we actually ever run into them, we're screwed. Because if they're coming here, we are the ants compared to them in terms of technology.
That's the same thing on
we're done.
The AI thing. He thinks that we're all screwed.
I don't trust AI.
He's a pessimist on that.
I don't trust AI either. Well, unless it has the 3 laws by Isaac Asimov, which for people who don't know what that is, we're doing a little sci-fi here. Yes, I'm a sci-fi geek. The 3 laws are the perfect rules for robots and robotic intelligence.
Didn't they prove it that didn't really work?
Well, it does work, but
it's imperfect.
It's imperfect, but it's as good as you're going to get. And basically the rules are, the first rule is a robot must take any order from a human being. It cannot not do what a human says.
Right.
Second rule is a robot must protect a human being unless it violates, no, the other way around, excuse me. First rule is a robot must always protect a human's life. It cannot not save you.
Right.
Second rule is it must do whatever a human tells them to do unless that violates the first rule, which would endanger a human life. Can't do that. Otherwise, it'll do whatever you tell. Third rule is the robot must protect itself unless it violates Rule 2 or Rule 1.
Right.
It's about as good a set of rules as you can get. You put that in, AI can't hurt you, theoretically. It's not a perfect rule. There are ways that it's how the machine...
you have to explain what harm is.
Yeah, and it has to figure out, it does its calculation on, well, is this going to be the worst thing or the best thing? And that may not be the same way that we would look at it.
I think we already do have AI. And it's already becoming things, and it's already building our things that we like. Yeah. The whole manufacturing job thing, or like, so if we bring it back into the crazy politics of things, when they're talking about what car company, some car company is bringing back jobs to the United States from Mexico, and they're building a new factory. Do you think there's going to be factory jobs in that factory?
Not as many as we would like.
I believe that's going to be a totally automated system by the time they're done. They said by 2020 or something like that.
You're talking about a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand jobs, as opposed to say in the 50s where it'd be like 10,000 jobs.
Correct. Those 1,000 jobs though are going to be fixing the
computers,
machines that fix the machine that build the cars, because those are going to be the jobs there.
Well, you know what's going to really...
And Trump champions that as a win. And like I said, I don't think he's a very forward thinking. Like he's like a now thinker and what works now or what sounds like it'll work now. But I don't think he's willing to listen to
the vision for the future.
Vision of the future that is. There's no outside of it. Unless we destroy all of our magical electronics that we like to do magical things with, that make our life so much immediate.
Yeah. Everything is very immediate these days. My big focus is actually towards, and I don't see Trump or anyone talking about this, we need to start building up the infrastructure.
Well,
big time.
He started talking about that. Was one thing him and the Democrats could get on board with, because they both, and it's true.
But they're not. But we need electricians. We need plumbers. Yeah. And it's only going to get more important because nobody knows how to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun fact about that. What did we got rid of our spaceships?
Yeah.
And then we have to start sending rockets back up to do our space programs.
Yeah.
We had no clue how we built those rockets. And the guys that do are like on their way out. You know what I mean? Like, we had to hire some old NASA scientists to be like, to
reteach everybody.
How did we do this?
Yeah. Yeah. And to think, they used to be the old saying, you're an astronaut, you're a rocket scientist. Well, yeah. I mean. And
they still are, but like, it was just funny that we were like, the Saturn series rockets, I think it was. We just had no clue.
How did you put that together?
How they did it. Yeah.
It's scary. We've gone.
And we do that with lots of things.
Yeah. Too many.
We love the idea of specialization, except for when we don't teach, when we think we've gone outside of that area of specialization, like the rocket design. Yeah. We don't teach the people how to make the things that we did.
The base.
We didn't teach them how to make the series rocket because we thought we'd never go back to that design.
And here we go.
And then we're back and we just have no clue because we let those people expire.
Yeah.
And their ideas
without passing it on.
Yeah. That shit was written down on notebook paper.
Wow. It probably was, yeah. In pencil.
Right.
Because that's what they did.
Yeah.
Before we've had a great show, and I've had a lot of fun. We've covered a lot, folks. So hopefully everybody got to have a little bit of something that they liked or hated or.
By the way, I have no incense, no schooling. So if you want to judge my opinions, by all means, please know.
No,
I'm a singer-songwriter that writes love songs.
That's all right. I'm the one that everyone's going to yell at about. Mike, you got that fact wrong. Everyone expects me to get it right. So don't worry there.
It just corrects me up.
But I do want to take a moment just to, what's the next show you're doing? What's going on musically?
What is it? Every Thursday nights we do the Belmar. We play all originals. What do we have going on? I think our next show, my next show is in Owego up at Originals.
Okay.
And I'm doing a duet series with my friend Jackie and
What day?
Callie.
What day is that?
The 26th.
Of January?
Yep. Yep.
Callie's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah, they both do. Yeah. They're great.
I don't think I've heard Jackie sing.
She's she plays in Milkweed.
Oh, okay.
Joe also.
Okay.
Yep.
So you got a couple things there. Is there, if people wanted to get in touch with you about, I know you have a couple of CDs for some of the bands, how would they get in touch with you?
They can find us Animate the Apple on Facebook. They can look us up there.
On Facebook, okay.
Yep. And email if you want, animatetheapplemusic@gmail.com.
Okay. Animate the Apple music at gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a way if people can get in touch with you. And obviously, if they want to make comments on the show, you can do that. You can do it on Facebook or on the website. It's on iTunes as well. You can send me a tweet at mvconsult on Twitter. Michael.
I was like, they could send me a tweet if you want, but I don't use that often.
Well, I try to use mine all the time. And of course, there's also the option to leave us if you don't want to type out anything, you can actually call in and just leave your question. You'll see that on the website on Podbean, and you could be just leaving us a message and say, hey, I just wanted to say I thought it was a great show. You think Dan was great. You think I'm crazy. Whatever it is.
Well,
I don't
crazy. Mike's great. Either way.
Yeah, I'll go with it either way. But I do thank you for the time today. It's been a great episode. Folks, if you like this enough, how many likes do we need for you to come back?
Doesn't matter. How many likes do you need?
I want 100.
I had a great time.
I want 100.
It's always fun.
But if I get 10, I want you back because I love it. It's a great show. So with that said, folks, we're going to take you out here. And we thank you for joining No Soundbites Allowed. It's a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing it, especially when I have a great guest. And we're going to leave you with this song, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and come back next week.